I guess that means we should start. Anyway, welcome. It's a great pleasure to have all of you here, students and faculty. President Webb was here for a while.
Still is.
Oh, well, thank him for coming. Davina McLean, the director of Scholars College, is here, as well as our four honored guests. President Alost, who was here when the Scholars College was created. Representative Jimmy Long, who helped push it through the state legislature. Maybe he'll tell us about that. Fraser Snowden, who helped draw up the original plan, or drew up the original plan for the Scholars College. He'll give us some details. And Don Barker, who was counselor. What was your official title?
It was a long time ago. I believe it was counselor and instructor.
Okay, all right, but he's one of the original class of the Scholars College. Just wanted to give a few brief statistics. I want to give most of the time for our guests, honored guests, to speak, but I just want to say about what my experience was when I came to Scholars College in the fall of 1995. Many of you have already heard this, but I had my interview with two Scholars College students, and I had never met students like this before. They actually, in casual conversation, talked about what they had learned in class. And the longer I was here, I realized why that was. Why the students here seemed to me to be better than a lot of the other schools that I had taught at. The other Northwestern near Chicago, Skidmore College, very good, the liberal arts college in upstate New York, Southern Illinois University, a couple of good liberal arts colleges in Minnesota. Why were the students here better than any of the others that I had taught over my gypsy career? It was because I think the program brings the best out of you. The close student-faculty connection, our discussions, the fact that we give you the very best that's been written in past history, everything from the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Bible to Machiavelli and Freud and everything else we throw at you, and you somehow or other survive it and come out at the end. And these are some of the statistics about people that came out at the end. And I have to thank Dr. Cochran, she's here somewhere, there, sitting next to President Webb, for compiling these documents, and for also the wonderful slides that we have up celebrating our various of our graduates. Not all of our graduates, but a goodly number. So since the Scholars College was founded in 1987, there have been 546 graduates. Maybe it's actually 584 degrees. I hope that I have that correct. 26 of these 546 have earned PhDs. One PharmD, and we have 28 doctors. I'm not going to do all of these things. 51 JDs, 120 master's degrees of various sorts have been earned by our graduates, and altogether, then one could say 117 doctorates of various sources. And they not only have earned various high degrees, they've also won very distinguished grants, Fulbright grants, the Marshall Grant, American Council Learned Society grants, various other distinguished grants. We have students working in the Department of Homeland Security. We have students that are professors in various universities, doctors, lawyers, as vice presidents of companies, corporate presidents. So Scholars College students have done very well. Okay, well, without, let's see, I was going to say one more thing. Oh yes. We don't have all the founders here. Unfortunately, some could not come for various reasons. We would have liked if Ed Graham could have been here. Stan Chaddock, who was the first president of the Scholars College, or director of the Scholars College, he could not come. Grady Ballinger, who is now a professor, was a dean of liberal arts in Florida. and also Darrell Colson, who is president of Wartburg College in Iowa. So some professors even graduate from the Scholars College and reach even higher positions. I wanted to read the letter that Darrell Colson sent me, not the whole thing, but just part of it. He said, well, dear Rick, thanks so much for your letter of December 28th. And he has a million things to do, as university presidents we know have to do. I would like to have been able to join your celebration. I should have enjoyed seeing former colleagues and students, reliving with them the exciting days of 1987. I still look back on my experience at the Scholars College as among the most rewarding professional experiences I've ever had. I relish the opportunity to work with a small group of colleagues during the summer of 1987 to shape something new. And I learned more than any person could have hoped to learn from the close collaboration of those first few years. I hope that your time at the college has been as rewarding as were my 9 years there. Again, thank you very much for the kind invitation to join you. I wish you and the other participants in the celebration all the best. I'll be with you in spirit, if not in flesh. Okay, well, without any more ado, I'd like to call on President Elost if he could address these questions as much as or little as he wishes to. When did the idea for the Scholars College start? What was the biggest challenge of the first year? What was the biggest hope for the college when it started?
Okay. When I came on deck in 1986, Northwestern was in trouble. We had 3,500 students total. That's at nursing, Fort Polk, and here. 3,500 students. Our average ACT was 14. Now, you ought not to even be in college with a 14 ACT. But we had a time. And so what I did was I went to Jimmy, talked to Jimmy about us seeking financial exigency, which is you're going bankrupt. That's bankruptcy for the college when you do that. And all bets are off. There's no tenure. You can fire whoever you want to. It is a terrible thing to do. I'll tell you that right now. It's a terrible thing to do. But I went to the Board of Trustees and asked for it. I stood on my feet for 2.5 hours debating with them because the unions were not in favor of it. They thought I was going to come back here and just indiscriminately fire everybody. But what we did was we got financial exigency, and I hired 2 attorneys out of New Orleans. They had had experience in financial exigency in private colleges, not in a public college. It had never been done in a public college in Louisiana, and has never been done since. Financial exigency is an extreme measure. I came back here, and according to the lawyers, we set up a committee that was representative of all the faculty at the university, members of the faculty. I decided how many people would stay and how many would go. If we had a department with 15 people in it and they only needed 8, 7 had to go. Now, which 7 went, I didn't determine. The committee determined that. Based on what? Based on years' experience, based on their expertise. And so they made the decisions. We let 100 people go. 50 of them were tenured. Now let me tell you something, folks. I won't say that again. 50 of them were tenured. We had 100 people that we did not keep. How did I go about doing it? Going to the attorneys, I had to write them 3 letters. I had to deliver one personally. I had to send one by air mail. And I had to see that they got the other one. So that was 3 letters that they got. We had, when a campus security would go to a house, they wouldn't let them in because they knew what was happening. They knew that they were being told they didn't have a job. So they wouldn't let them in. Well, we got past that. I had the idea of the Scholars College all along because Yale University has a Scholars College. And I had read about it. And we were, remember I said we had an ACT average of 14. We needed an economic and an academic boost. But when we got it, I went to the Board of Trustees and asked for it. Southwestern was opposed to it. They were going to bring 2 busloads of students there to oppose it. And my friend Jimmy Long called the president of Southwestern and said, "Don't do it. You're making a terrible mistake if you do that, because you're going to present ideas in the future for new programs and so forth, and I'm going to see that you don't get them." Yeah. So he took him at his word, and his word was good. I mean, he meant just exactly what he said. Well, we went from there to the Board of Trustees and asked for it and got it. Then we went to the Board of Regents and asked for it and got it. And then the legislature acted on it and established the Scholars College at Northwestern. Now, if you got an ACT average of 14 and you're talking about a prestigious college in your midst, that's really saying something. And we did that, and people started talking. They'd say, "What in the world's happening at Northwestern? What are they doing?" Well, what was happening was the Scholars College was starting to be formed. And we were really, in the early years, Stan Chaddock was in charge of it, and Stan did a great job. We used some of the Northwestern faculty members. We used others that we hired, and it got going. The Scholars College has been and is a real token at Northwestern. It's really a shining star at Northwestern. I'm proud to have been a part of it. I'm proud to have been a part of the starting of the Scholars College. I don't have any more sense than anybody else. Not as much as some people. So I got that idea from Yale and took it and went with it. You should be proud of where you are and who you are, because I have a son that graduated from here and a daughter-in-law that graduated from here. He went on to Tulane and got a doctorate, and she went there and got a CPA. And they're now in Dallas working. He's a partner in a law firm there in corporate law, and she works in an institution where they deal with big money. In fact, they've got a bank in Japan. She goes over there pretty regularly and deals with those people. So it's been a real asset in my family. It's been an asset for Northwestern. I'm proud to have been a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Representative Long, do you have any details details to add about?
Thank you very much. First, let me thank you for the invitation. You and Dr. McLean and all of the fine faculty here for giving me the opportunity to be with you today. I remember when Dr. McLean came in to be the new, I don't know, is it called that assistant president or school president? But she was kind enough to invite me to a meeting, and we've had went back to a good bit of history. Let me sort of pick up on what Dr. Allos mentioned a moment ago. I, of course, was elected to the legislature in 1968 and became a member of the House Education Committee that year and remained a member of the House Education Committee until I left the legislature at the end of 1999. So we were able to, I was fortunate to have spent 32 years in the legislature, and 16 years of those as chairman of the House Education Committee. Now, I wasn't really as brazen as Dr. Allos said, threatening people, but sometimes you have to be decisive. But Dr. Allos and I and our wives were fortunate enough to visit the Southern Regional Education Board in 1979 while I was a delegate to Southern Regional Education Board from the state of Louisiana. During that visit, we had an opportunity to learn from North Carolina School of Math, Science, and Arts, two separate campuses, about their first residential gifted school in the nation, which was located at Durham, North Carolina for junior and senior grade students. The scholars, the program for the performance and fine arts was at Winston-Salem, North Carolina, under a separate management board, and actually took students as early as the 7th grade on through the bachelor's degree. One of the recommendations at the North Carolina school while we were there planning our school is separate the two, that you have a component in the Math Science Center. You're located on a campus that has an excellent fine arts facilities, and do just the fine arts, just do the Math Science Center at this location. We took them at their recommendation. But I must give credit to Dr. Allos, incidentally, at that time, was Dean of Education here at Northwestern. And Governor Dave Treen was the governor of the state at that time. When we decided to pursue the Math Science Center, I went and talked to the governor, and he was receptive, but not totally committed to me at that time. So what I did in 79 was introduce legislation calling for the establishment of a residential high school for gifted and talented in the state of Louisiana. We didn't say where. We're kind of doing a little maneuvering there, Bob. But the following year, in 1980, we came back with the bill to establish a school in Natchitoches. And I think we were able to get it through the House with one vote against it, and perhaps the Senate, maybe 2 or 3, but there was a very few votes against it in the Senate. Governor Treen was kind enough to make a $10 million commitment to us at a time when Louisiana was in serious financial problems, as Dr. Allos mentioned a moment ago. But that was the beginning of the Math Science Center. A few years later, actually the first graduating class from the Louisiana School was in 1985. It took from 1981 to 85 to get set up, and we took junior and senior 10th and 11th graders in, no, 11th and 12th graders in. And it was a 2-year. Now we go back and take not 10th and 11th, but 9th, 10th, and 11th currently. But we were able to get that school established. So then in 85, we started looking at the possibility of a Scholars College as a follow-up to the success that we were having with the Louisiana School. Of course, Dr. Allos was the first president of the Louisiana School. And he and I have worked together on that for all these years. Dr. Snowden was there. Many of Don, you were there. Many of the people that are still at Northwestern, Dr. Chaddock, who is one of our outstanding people at both Northwestern and the Louisiana School, before and after the school. But we started talking then about the Scholars College here on Northwestern because we were looking for students. And not only were we looking for students, we were looking for quality students. I talked to Dr. Bill Arsenault, who was then Commissioner of Higher Education, who had formerly been a faculty member here at Northwestern, and whose wife was from Natchitoches. And we talked to Bill about, you know, the procedure to follow from my point of view as a legislator. And his recommendations were put in a resolution first year, calling for the establishment, calling for the Board of Regents to do a feasibility study for a Scholars College in Louisiana. And he said, I'll try to handle it from there if you get it through the legislature. Working with Dr. Allos and the others at the Louisiana School, and with Senator Kelly and others who were there also to help along the way. We were able to get that resolution in and get it passed. And then I believe your school was actually established in 1987, was it, Don?
Right.
So it took a couple of years there to get all the mechanics together. And by then, Governor Treen, who had made the commitment in '84, before his term was up, to fund the $10 million for the startup for the Louisiana School. And so that was how we finally got the program to going. A lot of people working on it. Dr. Allos, Dr. Snowden, and several of us traveled around the country. We were talking about a near fatal crash in northeast Missouri while we were doing one of these studies on the feasibility of the school. But that's sort of how we got it going to start with, through a resolution calling for the establishment of a Scholars College. And then, of course, with the help of the Board of Trustees, and that was long before I became a member of the Board of Trustees, which I am today. But that was the beginning of the establishment of the school. And we've been so pleased that the school has grown now to more than 200 students, I believe, and continues to grow. But we've been pleased with the quality of the students, with the quality of the programs. So I can, as Dr. Allos mentioned, I can be very proud of the fact that this is one of the things that I was able to help accomplish from the legislative end of it, back both for the Louisiana School and the Scholars College. Both, of course, are under separate management boards. As you know, the Louisiana School is under a management board locally of statewide people, but falls under the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education as the umbrella agency. This, of course, falls under Northwestern and under the University of Louisiana system, who, of course, is under the umbrella of the Board of Regents. So there's quite a history, but quite a challenge, a lot of good people working hard to put it together, because as I've told them many times, I'm not an academician. I was a politician, I guess you'd say. but I had some ideas that I thought were good and would work. And with the help of these people on this podium today and others, we were able to put it together, and I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of the membership here today. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, these two guys are really important, as you can tell from what they've said. This is the man who had the vision. This is the man who had the political skill and influence to get this thing going. When Dr. Alas came in as president of Northwestern in the fall of '86, there was talk about closing the university down and turning it into a minimum security prison. That's right. You remember that? Yeah. I had been at Northwestern since 1970 in the Department of Social Sciences. I was a philosophy professor. And when the Louisiana School was set up, Dr. Alas asked me to come over and teach a philosophy course every semester. So I taught several philosophy courses over a period of 4 or 5 years there. And then when he came in as president, he asked me to chair a committee to put together a proposal for an honors college that would be a distinct college within the university. And I guess he asked me because he knew that I enjoyed teaching philosophy and I had good rapport with the students over at the Louisiana School. Our sons were good buddies in high school. And so he just sort of dumped it in my lap and said, pull the rabbit out of the hat. And let me tell you, we had to work hard to get that rabbit out of that hat. I selected several faculty, both at Northwestern and at the Louisiana School. Brady Ballinger was one of them. He was teaching English over at the Louisiana School. He was part of the committee. I got Sarah Burrows, who was in English here. Maxine Taylor in history. I can't remember all the people on the committee. There were about eight or nine of us, and we met once or twice a week for that whole first semester that Dr. Alas was president, the fall semester of '86. At the end of that semester, we submitted a proposal outlining a plan to put in place an honors college for the university. And some of the features of that plan involved bringing in faculty from some of the best schools and programs across the country. Everybody who taught had to have a PhD. When I first came to Northwestern in 1970, many faculty only had masters. There weren't that many PhDs teaching. Northwestern was a teaching institution, and heavy loads and not much research was being done. There were faculty with PhDs, and there were faculty who did research, but the university was not, from the time I got here in 1970 on into the mid-'80s, was not a place where there was a great deal of emphasis on research and innovation in creation of classes. We wanted to have nothing but PhDs on the faculty. We wanted to have a great deal of emphasis on the liberal arts, a good, solid liberal arts education that would involve all of the disciplines. So students would not just be able to come in and not take foreign languages, and not take math, or not take science. They had to take a little of everything. Emphasis on interdisciplinary team-taught courses. That was very, very important. So we really worked to sort of draw out an outline of how such a college could exist within the context of this larger university. We turned that proposal over to Dr. Alas. I think you probably massaged it a little bit, threw in some more ideas. This was submitted to Baton Rouge. It was approved by the end of the spring semester. And now, a faculty had to be hired, students had to be recruited, classes had to be created so that things could get going the next fall. That's the fall of '87. Now you can imagine the amount of work that was involved in doing all those things. Just recruiting a class. I think we had an initial class of about 200 students, didn't we? A lot of them dropped out when they saw what they were in for. We kept the best ones, though. We kept the best ones, and most of the ones who dropped out went over into a program, one program or other at the larger university. So we kept most of those students. But a faculty had to be hired. There were people brought in from outside. Northwestern faculty could apply, and in fact, in that initial group of faculty, that first fall semester, there were several people who had taught at Northwestern for a long time. Nigel Keller, for example. Of course, Stan Chaddock was the first director. He agreed to come in and direct for only 1 year. Don Ryan in mathematics, Bill Poe in history. I think Gary White was also.
Not that first year.
He wasn't there the first year. So these people got together. I wasn't involved at this point. You know, I stayed in the Department of Social Sciences. The first year I was in the Department of Social Sciences. The second year of the college I was on sabbatical. The third year I became a member of the faculty. So I just heard the stories, and they were wild stories. These people were going all over the place. They were going to programs all over the country that were like what we wanted to create here. They were putting together courses, rapidly putting them together, because in the fall they were going to have to start teaching these courses. And so it was really amazing that after the proposal was approved in Baton Rouge, that we were able to do all the work that was necessary to get going in that fall semester of '87. Now I could tell all kinds of stories, but Dr. Jensen said I can't be completely truthful. He said we've got to be pleasant. So I'm going to only tell pleasant stories, but there was a lot of wild stuff that went on those early years. A lot of really wild things. It was really exciting, though. And I think all the faculty who were involved from the very beginning and who are involved today would acknowledge that this is a terrific place to teach. I never thought that I would be able to teach all the courses that I ended up teaching when I taught at the Scholars College from '89, the fall of '89, till the spring of 2005 when I retired after teaching at Northwestern for 35 years and teaching in the state system for 37 years. When I was teaching the Department of Social Sciences, I taught Introduction to Philosophy and Logic, History of Philosophy, Aesthetics. That was about it. When I came to the Scholars College, I was teaching T&T. I was able to teach special courses on Nietzsche, William James, Carl Gustav Jung. I taught a course on the Da Vinci Code. We weren't looking at the book so much as we were looking at all the issues that were raised by the book. Some students asked me to teach a course on C.S. Lewis. It was really, for me, a second liberal arts education. I got my undergraduate degree at Tulane, and that was a terrific undergraduate education, but it was nothing like the education I got as a faculty member in the Scholars College. I never thought that I would be teaching history, perspective, poetry, vase painting, history. I knew I'd be teaching philosophy, but all that other stuff, it was a wonderful experience. And I often say, now that I'm retired, I've been retired 8 years, I don't miss anything but the wonderful students I had and some of the wonderful colleagues that I taught with. And in closing, I would like to acknowledge 3 people who are no longer with us, who were very, very important figures in the creation of the Scholars College. Tom Samet, who was here from the very beginning, and left to become dean of, where did he go? Do you remember, Lisa? He became a dean when he left.
Oh, no.
It was a prestigious school. Nadja Keller, who was a chemist, who had taught at Northwestern and moved over to the college at the very beginning, and Dr. Jean D'Amato. All 3 of these people are dead, unfortunately. And they were all, I want to remember them because they were so important in building the curriculum. Jean especially. Jean had worked at the Louisiana, I'm sorry, the National Endowment for the Humanities in Washington. And when she came here, she put together a proposal for curriculum development that enabled us to work diligently 3 consecutive summers. I think the summers of 90, because I came in 89. And it was 90, the summer of 90, 91, and 92. The entire faculty worked for, was it 6 weeks?
6 weeks.
First summer developing TNT 1, second summer developing TNT 3 and 4, 1 and 2 for the first summer, 3 and 4 for the second summer, and then Democratic Vistas, and I think we talked about some other courses like Major Figures that third summer. But it was a good, big grant that enabled us to bring in guest lecturers, paid our summer salaries, and that was essentially Jean D'Amato's work. She wrote the proposal that got that big curriculum development grant. So there are lots of people. These guys are most important because they had the idea and the political clout to get this thing in place. But then there were many, many other people, and the people today who are faculty, who continue doing the hard work that is necessary to give you people, you students, men and women, a fantastic liberal arts education that will lead you to do some of the sorts of things that our graduates have gotten into. So I'll stop at that point.
Thank you. If I could just intervene briefly, I mean, I just want to second what you said, Fraser, in this sense that being a faculty member and a researcher and a scholar has really enriched and changed my research and writing. My book that I've been working on forever that's going to be published in the fall, hopefully. It starts with a quotation from Nietzsche. I never would have put a quotation from Nietzsche in there if I hadn't come to the Scholars College. I had never read Nietzsche before I came to the Scholars College. So that's why I love teaching our courses. I love history too, but our TNT courses add a whole new dimension to, I think, learning, including my learning. And I should say too, I did say a few things about the students. I wanted to also say that our faculty is very impressive. I hope you will, if you haven't already done so, look at their CVs, which are all online at our website. They publish books. They're very active in scholarship in a whole bunch of areas. But without any more ado, Don, can you, Don Parker.
First of all, let me thank you all for being here today. And I'm going to thank several people as part of my presentation. I've been a day-to-day employee of the university for just over 25 and a half years. And I've been in Natchitoches for just 29 and a half years, 4 years at the Louisiana School, and the rest of the time here. Would never have arrived here in the first place had it not been for the efforts of Representative Long. So I want to thank you, sir, right now in front of all these people. I appreciate everything you did. And I want to thank the two presidents under which I've served. Dr. Alois brought me to the Louisiana School. I was working in Alexandria at the time, and I read the job announcement, and I had no idea what this thing was all about, but I said, you know, I think I'll give it a try. And so here I am. And Dr. Alois and his staff chose me to be part of the Louisiana School. And then when it was time to start Scholars College, he invited me to be a staff member assisting the students and the faculty. I'm very, very grateful to you, sir, for that opportunity. And I'm very grateful to Dr. Webb for allowing me to continue to work here, although not in this college. I left the college after its first 4 years, and I now work as the director of a federal grant called Student Support Services. And I've had several I've had several Scholars College students who have been part of my tutoring group. My staff works with first generation and low income college students. We've had a couple of Scholars College students come through there, but mostly it's been students in other majors. I want to recognize Dr. Wolf and Dr. Pfeiffer. They were not there the first year, I think, or were you? You were. Lisa and I and Fraser, the only three people here today who were here at the beginning. And Kurt came the next year. And I'm so grateful to you two for hanging around and doing what you do here, the teaching, but the inspiration that you provide and that you continue to provide to this college generation. I admire it, and I could talk for hours about the people that Dr. Snowden talked about, but I'm afraid time doesn't permit. What you have inherited, one other person here, this guy right here, whose name keeps coming up on here every now and then. I think I'm going to ask him to introduce himself to you. He works here in town, and he's one of the originals of the Scholars College. So why don't you just stand for a second and tell them a little bit of who you are. Come on, Sean.
Hey, I'm Sean Clifford. I work for the National Park Service. I'm a software developer at NCPTT, our research center here on campus. I was recruited to Scholars in a fortunate accident, actually. Had postponed me joining the Army, and I think that was actually the best thing that happened to me. And I left and came back, worked in the software industry for a while, and now work over here for the Park Service. Very happy to be visiting y'all again.
You've inherited something really special here. You had the opportunity today to hear from the political and educational founders of the college, and if you want to know some of the more interesting stories about students of that generation, go see Sean after this meeting, okay? Because I can't remember too many of them. That's one of the best things about college life. You will possibly do something really, really strange or unfortunate while you're here, but we're not going to remember it.
I do.
I do too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know which ones to bump off now. This is as marvelous a place as I could have ever hoped for. Now, I would have liked to have stayed in Russell, but we had to do some things to provide for now the School of Business, and so they took this building and renovated it, and it seems like for most of you it's home. And I'm very happy that you have this kind of nice building to be a part of. I'm also very, very glad for the faculty who came along after I left. I don't know all of you, but boy, do I know about your commitment. And thank you for it. You guys and gals are just pretty amazing in terms of the time and effort you put into the work you do with these students. I would just say to you that we laid a footprint down back in the late 80s. We established a curriculum that, for the most part, is still followed today. And there were some bumps along the way, some challenges along the way. But what you inherit in this day and time, I think it's a curriculum that's really good for 21st century work, in my humble opinion. And you may not see the connections, but I do. I think our nation and the world needs people who can be critical thinkers and problem solvers. And that's what all of you are becoming, whether you realize it or not. Now, where the road takes you from this time and place, I don't know. I don't know. But I do know this, with the help of a wonderful faculty that you have now, and if you are willing to put forth the time and the energy to get past the cliff notes on some of these, classes you're
These
taking.
students don't know about cliff notes.
They don't know. They don't know about cliff notes. There's a lot of hissing going on in the audience there. So, if you're willing to do the kind of reading and writing and thinking that you can do here, this nation and this world will tremendously benefit. This state will benefit from many of you, but also this nation and this world will really benefit. I have no doubt at all about that, because I've seen you and those who came before you that I knew in those first 4 classes. Thank goodness for Facebook. They write me all the time. What are you doing, Mr. Barker? How are things going? How are things in the Scholars College? Well, I kind of know how things are going, but you really need to talk to Davina and Lisa and Kurt and everybody else who probably are too busy to answer Facebook notes.
They will also ask the question, what are you reading right now?
Oh, yes. Yeah. What are you reading right now? Yeah, you'll be hearing that 20 and 30 and 40 years from now. People from here will be asking you, what are you reading right now? You see. So you'll know about the past, and you'll be able to take the past and bring it into your present and plan for yourselves and for the people around you a better future. I'm just utterly honored to have been along for part of the ride. The only non-PhD in the whole bunch.
Well, thank you very much.
And I am thrilled to have the opportunity.
So we'd like to have the students say a few words to the founders, but there might be a chance for a question or two. Does anyone have a question for the founders?
I think you should tell us one of those stories.
Okay, I'll tell you a story. When we were putting together the proposal in that fall semester of '86, we created a number of possible courses, interdisciplinary courses that would be taught. And one of them had to do with epidemics, disease, plagues, the AIDS epidemic. And I remember that after I had submitted that final proposal to Dr. Ellos, the then Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dale Thorne, called and said, Fraser, on this course about epidemics and plagues, could we have something a little bit more, this is the word he used, conversational. And of course, what I knew that what he was saying was, this is a little too controversial, let's take this out. So I said, okay, so I created another course that was something like great figures in Western history, something goofy like that, and he liked that.
Can I add that the first class in the senior colloquium.
That's what I was going to get to.
Well, would you
That's-
please,
Yeah,
sir?
because
I didn't want you to forget.
you jumped in. I taught the first senior colloquium
Yes.
to that first class. This was
91.
91. And it was disease and social policy, and it was one of the most exciting courses I've ever taught. It was all year, of course. Every faculty member in the college was involved in some way, giving a lecture, leading a couple of seminar discussions. And basically what the course dealt with was the way that epidemics and plagues have been understood historically, theologically, in literature, in music. But we very quickly segued into the AIDS epidemic, which was a huge thing.
Just
at
getting
that time.
started.
Really just getting started, and that course proved to be hugely controversial. So Dale Thorne was right. This was not a course that, was conversational. And I'm sure that Dr. Ellis was very angry with me at several points along the way, because there were lots of letters written to the current SOS protesting the course. There were students who were complaining to the president about the course. They said, this is a course that doesn't concern me. I don't want to know anything about this. I had a lot of guest speakers come in, many of them extremely controversial. But at the beginning of the second semester, there was all this furor the first semester. At the beginning of the second semester, I had a guest speaker who was a male, heterosexual. He was a salesman who had contracted HIV while on a convention in New Orleans. I'll let you use your imagination about how that might have happened. And he talked about his experience, and he had his girlfriend with him. And they were panelists. And he talked about the fact that this was very difficult, that when he told his girlfriend that he was HIV positive, she said, well, I think it's time for us to get married. And I suddenly saw a shift in the class. Those people who were so adamantly opposed to the class, who said, I'm heterosexual, I don't need to know anything about HIV/AIDS, they started saying that this is something that could affect anybody. This was a good old American salesman, heterosexual, who was HIV positive. And things got better and better. The students really got into it, and by the end of the semester, the students put together an AIDS awareness program for the entire university, and even got approval from somebody to hand out condoms. Wow. Now that was, you may say, oh, that's nothing, but back at this time, it was a big deal. And at the very end of that second semester, the reflection papers that the students wrote were just wonderful. I think I cried over some of them because they had gotten so much out of the course, and they were so involved in it, and they had learned so much. Looking at epidemics, plagues, HIV/AIDS, from every disciplinary perspective you can imagine. Dr. Pfeiffer lectured from the standpoint of medicine and biology. We had lectures on images of epidemics and plagues in music. We had a Roman Catholic priest. We had a lesbian minister from Shreveport, Christian minister. We had all kinds of guest speakers and scholars talking about this from every conceivable perspective. And it was really one of the most thrilling education. It was terrifying in the beginning because there was so much controversy there, but in the final analysis, it convinced me that I was where I really wanted to be, because I knew that I was going to be able to teach classes that wouldn't just be intellectual exercises, that students were going to get involved, that they were going to make connections between what they were doing in class and what was going on in the world, what was going on in their lives. So that's one of the, that's some truth that, you know, is sort of touchy. I don't know, you might have some comment.
I'll tell all of you that after this is over, we're just going to have a few students say a few words to our founders.
I just want to make one
Sure.
comment.
Yeah.
Any success that members of the legislature have over the years has to come with close cooperation of faculty, administrators, and all who are involved in the successes at Northwestern. In 2001, after I left the legislature in January 1st, 2000, I became a member of the University of Louisiana Board of Supervisors, which I still serve today. And one of the things that made my job as easy and enjoyable as it has been is to work with the president, not only like I did with Dr. Allos, but to work with Dr. Webb here at Northwestern. He has been a super leader, has worked with me on each time I've ever gone to him to ask him for any kind of help from a legislative point of view. And not only as a great administrator and president, but a great personal friend. So I think we appreciate you being here today, Dr. Webb.
Okay, we're almost over, and I do want to invite anybody that wants to stay afterwards. We have a few refreshments outside. If you want to talk to our founders, those at least that can stay on, you're welcome to do that. But I wanted to call on a few of our students that wanted to say something to our founders. So maybe I can call Brittany Rogers.
So, when I came to Scholars College, I'm from small town South Louisiana, Berg, Louisiana, and I was really nervous because I was about to enter college. I was about to leave that family support system that I always had. My favorite part about Scholars to this day is that support system that I have here and the opportunities that I have because of it. All the teachers are like second sets of parents to me. All the students are like siblings who sometimes drive me up the wall, but they're always there for each other, whether it's dealing with an assignment for class, whether it's being involved in this activity outside of Scholars, a performance, a sporting event. We're all there to support each other. And just the opportunities that have come about through Scholars for my future, being able to be in a small, intimate, liberal arts university and have the opportunity to be part of a D1 school with the athletics and everything that goes along with that. And just, I plan to get my master's in the art of teaching and one day teach high school theater, and I can't wait to bring along the family and the education that I gained here to my future students. So thank y'all for making this possible.
Till the end so we can get through this quicker. Thank you.
I'm a T-Dre player. I'm a junior here. I can say this journey has been quite the experience. When I first came here, I could probably write. And first of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm honored to speak in front of you. When I first came here, I was really looking for an honors program. I was recruited through several other universities through the sports program, and I was looking for an honors college that could challenge me academically, so I could be challenged, not only on the field but also in the academic arena. And when I came across the Scholars College, and I had my visit, I knew right away that something special is here, not at any other college that I was going to. And initially, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But as time went along, I knew really that this is where I was meant to be, and the opportunity here, I wish it was available to everyone at every school, because it really is like an educational gold mine. I think the things I've learned here, I'll carry them with me wherever I go, because it has been a truly illuminating experience. If I had to compare it to anything, I use this example a lot, but it would probably be similar to the prisoner in Plato's cave allegory, coming up and seeing the light out of the cave. Because it truly has been like that for me, with just Scholars College giving me that ability to not only express myself, but to think critically and learn not just about other things that I wouldn't be learning about books and all over the world, but learning about myself and then how I can pursue academia beyond the Scholars College and as I go into grad school or wherever I go. So I will carry this experience with me wherever. And I'm truly thankful for the opportunity and truly thankful for the Scholars College for that. So thank you.
What about Victoria?
My name is Victoria Quintua. I'm a junior as well, and I'm scientific inquiry with a concentration in biomedical sciences. I came from Louisiana school, and I knew that I was going to medical school. Didn't know how I was going to get there, but I had other offers from other colleges, but this college had something different. It was a world-class educational experience at an affordable price, and I had to jump on that opportunity. And ever since I've been here, I've never had to think about going anywhere else. There's no reason to transfer. It was just like, this is the place I needed to be. And it's just always been confirmed. And I want to thank the faculty and the founders just for founding this college. It's a great opportunity. And I've had so many experiences. I was able to research at the Health Science Center over the summer in Shreveport. And just, I've been able to be an RA, and just all the support that I've gotten from everyone here, even to the students. It's been impeccable. I know that if I was a statistic at another college, I never would have gotten any of the opportunities or really just been able to see anything past what I thought was like my little bubble. So I just want to thank you for that.
So I'm not quite sure if it's Bethany or Teresa.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Teresa Halley, and I am a senior from Scholars. First, I would like to thank you guys for coming here today to speak to us. It means a lot to all of us, especially all of your efforts that you've put into your ideas of the Scholars College and actually forming it. And I'd like to thank the faculty too for everything that you guys have helped us with throughout the year. Throughout the years, I came from, instead of a small town, I came from a very large city, I guess I could say. I'm from Houston, Texas. And I graduated in a class of 832 students in high school. And so coming here, it's like completely different, especially Natchitoches. I had never heard of it, did not know how to pronounce the name. When I was a junior, I was so lost. I actually discovered Northwestern first through soccer. I just finished my last season in the fall. And when I came here on my first visit, I found out about the Scholars College. And immediately, I wanted to visit. I wanted to see what this is about. I came from a very rigorous high school where it's very competitive, and I wanted that in college as well. I did. So I looked for that, and as soon as I saw that, and I saw the school, and I saw what opportunities that I could have, by coming here for my education, I decided this was a place. And in the fall, I will actually be starting my dental, I guess you could say, career at Texas A&M Baylor College of Dentistry in Dallas. And other than that, it took me a while to figure out which college I wanted to go to because I was accepted to 4 of them. And this is all with the help of the faculty who have kind of broaden my education, and especially because of TNT. I know that I will be bound, like leaps in front of every other student because of my well-rounded education that I got at the Scholars College. So thank you again for everything.
So last we have Blaine Morley.
My name is Blaine Morley, and I am a sophomore with a scientific inquiry major and also a math major. Double, it's hard. I just want to reiterate how great the staff here is, the professors, and it's a great choice to just choose PhD people because they're not just professors who stand up in front of you and say words. They're and go home to, at night and cry because they don't understand their students, and they put that on us. We get to cry at night. But that price doesn't come without a reward, though. It's a great experience, and we learn more. It's more than just knowledge that we gather. It's an appreciation of everything that the Scholars College teaches, like all the philosophies, the sciences, the maths, the TNT is, but that one's obvious.
You might just tell them what TNT is. Maybe not all.
Oh, Texts and Traditions. It's okay, well, it's basically a history and literature kind of duo. I don't really know.
Philosophy.
Yeah, philosophy. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Everything. But we get this. Yeah. We get this appreciation. It's a great experience, and also I want to. The way y'all choose the students is great too. I mean, all these students. When I first came here, all the upperclassmen were heroes, and they're, to me, kind of, in a way, and they still are. But I think that might be because I don't talk to them enough. But, and I hope I might be a hero to some, but it's not necessarily true. But oh well. I just want to say thank you again.
Okay, so thank you all the students. I would again like to thank sincerely the founders for what they created over 25 years ago. So.